You're watching Sky News, and coming up after this break. Time for another update at the headlines at the Sky Sports News HQ.
This is Sky Sports News HQ. These are your top stories. Real Madrid have been thrown out of Spain's main domestic knockout cup competition, the Copa del Rey. Denis Cheryshev played and scored for the 19 times cup winners in Wednesday's 3-1 victory over Cadiz, but he should have been suspended because of previous yellow cards. The association that represents Europe's biggest football clubs says it wants to do more to help reform FIFA and run the sport going forward. The European Club Association also stressed it's against FIFA's idea of expanding the World Cup finals from 32 to 40 countries. The Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho has again dismissed speculation that striker Diego Costa wants to leave. Costa was seen throwing his bib in Mourinho's direction when he didn't play against Tottenham last weekend.
I don't know why. For me, no question marks. Always played Was on the bench one match, which I think is more than natural.
After a disappointing World Cup campaign, England's Rugby Football Union have taken another step to plan for the future. They will build 100 artificial grass pitches to help grow interest in the sport and allow players to train all year round. The £50 million investment comes after the RFU announced a record revenue of more than £200 million. Wales and Ospreys fly half Dan Biggar has signed a landmark new deal. He's the first of the 17 Welsh international players to sign a fresh national dual contract. It keeps him at his hometown club until 2019.
This is Sky Sports News, Europe's first and best rolling sports news service that is now available to you. Our newsroom is built on the latest broadcasting technology, while our team of top-class journalists ensure we give those major news stories comprehensive coverage around the UK and abroad.
You will not let me walk up to that bridge?
Not at all.
So why did you build the bridge?
I'm Craig Slater reporting from the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos, Sao Paulo, where Sebastian Vettel won a record-equalling 9th successive race to underline his and Red Bull's dominance.
I'm Fraser Dainton reporting from Manchester. It's fight week as we build up to Carl Froch versus George Groves.
Every week we have access to all the Premier League football clubs. Manager news conferences and exclusive one-on-one interviews are combined with first-rate analysis of all the big issues.
Simon Bolton reporting from Chelsea's press conference in Switzerland ahead of their Champions League group match against Basel. Jose Mourinho stressed the importance of qualifying for the knockout phase, and he revealed that he cut his own hair at the club's training ground.
Some people can do what I did, because in a couple of months I have hair again. Some other people cannot do it.
We were over.
Weather details with a storm on the way.
As showers wash over the UK, Australia soaks up some fun in the sun.
Well, it's Storm Desmond. Yes, that's what they've called it. Giving a windy start to Saturday, heavy rain and more hazards for Ireland and northern parts of the UK, so travel disruption likely there. The strongest winds during the morning over Ireland, southern Scotland, northern England and North Wales at 70 miles an hour for the gusts, mainly over the coasts and hills. Much of Wales and central and southern England, though, staying fine. Elsewhere could be more rain, heavy and prolonged in the west, so flooding an increasing concern, especially for Western Ireland.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
First of tomorrow's papers in, there's the Independent reporting that Sharia courts operate in Britain, locking women into marital captivity. While the Times says ISIS fighters have now captured swathes of eastern Afghanistan to establish a new province of caliphate there. More coming up at 10.
We are now investigating these horrific acts as an act of terrorism.
We used to say that the lightning will strike me dead if I went out of the house, or that I will spontaneously We used to say that the lightning will strike me dead if I went out of the house, or that I will spontaneously combust if I went out.
It is a terror attack. The FBI investigates links between the California mass shooting and Islamic State.
We are now investigating these horrific acts as an act of terrorism.
One of the attackers posted her allegiance to IS online as police show reporters inside the killer's home. Also tonight, guilty, the Maoist cult leader who imprisoned his own daughter for 30 years.
We used to say that the lightning will strike me dead if I went out of the house, or that I will spontaneously combust if I went out.
As Labour sweeps to victory in Oldham, Jeremy Corbyn tells his critics the party's roots are strong and deep. The man who may run FIFA tells Sky News there could be more arrests to come. And we're looking at tomorrow's front pages coming up in our press preview at 10:30. Good evening. America's FBI said tonight that it was treating the mass shooting at San Bernardino in California as an act of terrorism. One of the killers, Tashfeen Malik, is said to have pledged allegiance to Islamic State online as she carried out the attack. She and her husband died in a shootout after taking 14 lives. And tonight it was revealed that President Obama and David Cameron spoke earlier about the attack and the continuing fight against IS. Our US correspondent Greg Milam now reports from San Bernardino.
Are you doing enough to stop supporters of yours making death threats?
The passion of his supporters got him elected, but Mr Corbyn needs to make sure they don't also damage him. Jason Farrell, Sky News.
You're watching Sky News. Still to come, it's our press preview, all the front pages of the papers with broadcaster and journalist Duncan Barks and also writer and psychotherapist Lucy Beresford, who may be able to cast some of her expert knowledge on this man. The sadistic cult leader found guilty, convicted of rape, assault, child cruelty and imprisonment. His own daughter imprisoned for 30 years. How did he do it? Discussing that in a moment.
5. Here we go.
Our press preview in just a moment with all those front pages, but first our top stories tonight, with the FBI saying it's now treating the murder of 14 people at San Bernardino in California as an act of terrorism. A lawyer for the family of Said Farouk have said in the past half hour he was an isolated individual with few friends. The Labour Party is to introduce a new code of conduct for social media after several MPs reported death threats following their support for airstrikes on Syria. And a cult leader has been convicted of rape and assault after a brutal campaign of violence and sexual degradation against several women. His own daughter was imprisoned in his house for 30 years. Well, that does make some of our front pages that we're now going to look at in our press preview. Joining us for those headlines, broadcaster and journalist Duncan Barks and writer and psychotherapist. You've changed positions.
Just to keep you guessing.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're still both here, which is good news. Front pages of all the papers first. The Independent with the exclusive, they say, on Sharia courts, claiming they're condemning women in Britain to marital captivity and turning a blind eye to domestic violence in the Muslim community. Guardian reporting that a defiant Jeremy Corbyn is to tell his shadow cabinet that his leadership has been strengthened by Labour's victory in the Oldham by-election. Front page of the Times suggests that fighters from Islamic State have now captured large parts of eastern Afghanistan, despite what appears to be comedic outfits. I don't know what you'd call that. Anyway, there we are, in their glory there. The Eye has more on the cult leader found guilty of rape and child cruelty, used fear and violence to keep women in his commune for decades. Daily Mirror goes with the same story, the paper focusing on the 30 years that the cult leader's own daughter spent imprisoned in his houses. FT's Weekend Edition claiming David Cameron's EU treaty renegotiation demands have triggered high-level concerns at the European Central Bank. While the Prime Minister has privately revealed that he may be forced to join the Out campaign in the EU referendum if those renegotiation demands continue to be ignored. At least that's according to the Telegraph. Daily Mail claiming that the NHS will be barred from checking the qualifications of European doctors and nurses under new EU rules. It calls it the betrayal of every patient. And the wildest storm of the year is the headline for the Daily Express. Yes, that's the weather front called Desmond, expected to hit the UK. Can they not think of better names? Duncan would have been better.
It would be a good name for a storm.
Storm Duncan.
Yes, it's got some gravitas about it.
Yeah, a bit of wildfire.
Yes. Yeah.
Desmond?
Desmond.
Sorry to all Desmonds out
Des.
there. Des.
Des.
Yeah, Storm Des. Much better. Okay. Anyway, more serious matters for the front pages. Sadistic cult leader found guilty. Rape, assault, child cruelty, imprisonment, degradation, violence. And you just look at him and you think, how on earth did a man like that manage to impose, well, I think the court heard this sort of evil regime on his own family.
And a reign of terror, really, because the power came from the amount of fear
in
the break.
We'll do that later.
Still to come, the Beatles making a heavy metal comeback. Welcome back to our press preview. More papers, more Duncan, more Lucy, and The Independent with an interesting story, an exclusive about Sharia courts, Sharia law. What they say is a parallel system of Islamic justice in Britain, condemning many British Muslim women to marital captivity and failing to protect them from domestic violence. Parallels with that story we're hearing about the cult there. How far does it go, according to these reports?